So Nintendo Switch hardware looks good, but a console is nothing without great games. And we saw a whole bunch here at Nintendo's New York City demo event. First up was Zelda, Breath of the Wild. This is a game we've been watching for a couple of years. It was originally going to be a Wii U game, but it ended up being something that was delayed for the Switch. And it looks amazing on the TV, and when the Switch is in console mode, it looks like any other Zelda game. It's a lot more open world than we're used to, and it honestly feels a lot like Skyrim or any of the Bethesda open world games. You're equipping clothes and items and weapons on Link in very different ways. I can't wait to play that. When you take it out and put it in portable mode, it's even more incredible because that's the sort of game where we're not used to seeing on a portable console at all. So I'm really impressed with what we're seeing there. On a portable screen, Zelda's graphics also look a lot better too. When it's on the TV, it's really easy to tell it's not quite up to a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One level game. But when it's on a smaller screen, everything just looks a lot sharper and more fluid too. We also saw Splatoon 2, which is a sequel to the Wii U game, and it works and looks a lot like the one from before. There's some new features. You can add more customization for your character's clothes and things like that. It plays just like it did before too. We tried it in a portable mode, and it was using the motion controls for aiming. It was actually pretty good. I didn't really use that very much on the Wii U, but here it makes a lot of sense, and the game is still fast-paced, it's still really accurate and fun to play on a portable console. I also tried out ARMS, which is a new IP for Nintendo, and it's a boxing game that uses motion controls. It actually takes the Joy-Con controllers and you're just holding one in each hand, so kind of like what we used to do with the Wii gamepad for Wii Boxing. Except these are smaller controllers. You're also holding them sideways, which is kind of interesting too, because I've just never held a controller like that. But yeah, you're just punching in midair to fight an opponent. You have a couple buttons for dashing and jumping and things like that. It was mostly accurate when I was punching, but this is a pretty noisy and crowded environment, so there were some times when it just didn't quite register. I got to try Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is a slightly revamped version of the game from the Wii U. It plays just like Mario Kart, but there are a couple new features. There's some new characters, including the Splatoon characters, Squid Boy and Squid Girl, and being able to play full-size Mario Kart in a portable setting is a lot of fun too. We played it in like this faux diner, and just having a console right beside other people with Nintendo Switches, it's a really interesting experience. It's the experience of a full-size game on a portable setting. It feels a lot better than even the Nintendo 3DS's versions of Mario Kart. And as for other games, I also tried out Nintendo 1-2 Switch, which is basically just a collection of mini games. And it's really interesting too because most of them don't involve looking at the screen at all. You're basically just taking the Joy-Con controllers and using them in different ways. There's a quick draw game, which just has you trying to shoot somebody right next to you. And the tracking and the motion controls there all seem to work pretty well. There's a really strange mini game that's basically just you simulate milking a cow, and you're racing against the other person to see who can milk a cow fastest. There's a lot of subtle imagery there. There's also a mini game that lets you try to guess the amount of balls in an imaginary box. That really just shows off the motion tracking and also the feedback, the force feedback you're getting from the controller. It feels pretty good. You can really tell the difference between like a single ball kind of reacting on the controller versus 3 or 4. And that's a lot of fun too. And one last game was Snipperclips, and this one was demoed in tabletop mode. So that's when you have the Switch on its stand, just sitting on a table, and you and a friend will grab one of the Joy-Con controllers. That game involves a lot of cooperation because you basically have to cut each other's characters to fit into different puzzle scenes. And sometimes you'll also have to jump while your partner has to do something else in the stage. Basically, you'll have to talk to the other person, and that's kind of interesting too. We haven't seen too many puzzle games like that. So what I'm seeing from the Switch games is that there are a lot of traditional ones, there are a lot of motion control ones, but there's a lot of new, ingenious ways of using this hardware, and that's what I find really fascinating. That's what was really interesting about the Wii and the motion controls that whole thing adopted. And these games are showing that Nintendo doesn't have to compete on hardware as much as Sony and Microsoft. They really just have to make games that are fun and interesting and that you can't find anywhere else.